So, Carrie, welcome to the House of Visionaries podcast.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to have you on. We've just announced you as one of our Board of Visionaries. So, you're going to be playing a role supporting the community, which is really exciting. And I thought I'd take this opportunity just to do a bit of an introduction to you. So, yeah, I've said this before, but this is the bit where I probably make you really uncomfortable and say nice things about you. But we'll go a bit of an intro into who you are, just very briefly. But we've not been working together too long, but I've absolutely loved it, and I described you to someone as an ideas machine, always coming up with ideas, and they're always brilliant. So, like, the contribution that you've had in a short space of time to the community has already been amazing, I think. And my other observation is, obviously, in this role, I get to speak to so many different people in the HR and TA community and people community across Boston, and so many people know you, and everybody has nothing but amazing things to say about you. Like the feedback, and when people talk about you, they sort of light up. And I think you've got this rare and amazing like energy and positivity that you bring to your work, and I think that shows in what people say about you when you're not in the room. So I'm really excited to get stuck in today and have a good chat. But yeah, I thought I'd frame that for the community so people can get a bit of a feel for who you are if they don't know you.
Is that it? That's all you got? No. Thank you. It's very flattering. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries at all. So we're going to ask this question to everybody, as you've now been announced as on the Board of Visionaries. But what does being visionary mean to you?
Well, I'm glad we're starting there because I've been asked the question, what does visionary mean to me, a lot as the LinkedIn posts have been filling up people's feeds. Everyone's saying, what is this House of Visionaries and what does that mean? And at first I thought it's hard to describe, but it's actually really simple. I think being visionary, at least in your role, whatever it is, whether you're in the people world or anything else, it's mostly just not waiting for best practices to be written. It's like being somebody that's thinking about where do you want it to go? What do you want it to look like? And writing the playbook and then sharing what works. So that's what I think it is. Like, not ignoring any playbooks. And I definitely have playbooks I use, but it's just thinking beyond that.
Yeah, 100%. What was it? The quote? I think we've heard in the House of Visionaries before, but rather than like following the best practice, we want to become the best practice. And I think
Exactly.
that's a really cool kind of mission and summary for some of the work that we want to be doing inside the community, which is awesome. And I think that the key thing you highlight there as well is like sharing it back. I think you're definitely an advocate for that, and I think as a community we're an advocate for that. We don't want to like protect it and not share it with anyone and steal it and keep it all to ourselves. And there was a quote you said to me ages ago when we first spoke. It was about sending the elevator back down, and I think that summarizes really well that like community like element and sharing it once you found it. Where does that philosophy come from? Where does the like out of interest? Where does that like sending the elevator back down? Like what? Where does that come from in terms of your motivators and why you feel so passionate about that?
Yeah, I think like even just from growing up, I've always been on teams. I did sports and all kinds of things that were team oriented. I've been on teams, I've led teams, and I always think when you're leading teams, you're still on the team, right? And so we don't really go anything alone, or I don't go anything alone because it's much more fun to do it with other people, but also to just keep learning. And I learned the concept of reverse mentoring a few years back, and that really stuck with me about how do you make it worth it for both people,
Mm.
and when someone's looking for a mentor. And that came to me from a book. I'm a mom. She's 11 now, but she used to love this book called Are You My Mother? And it was like a little animal looking for its mom, and it would ask all these other animals, Are you my mother? Are you my mother? And that reminded me as I was reading that to her, like every single night, of Are you my mentor? Are you my mentor? And people certainly wanting mentorship and always looking for it, but not sure how to ask for it or what could they offer in return. And I do think that we have to remember when we have arrived, so to speak. And I don't know that anyone's ever really arrived, but when you've arrived, you've got to remember there's still people looking to get to where you are. And when you were looking to get to where you are, wouldn't it have been helpful if someone just sent the elevator back down for you?
Yeah. Absolutely. That tees up the next question really well, actually. So if we rewind a little bit to where you started out, kind of where did your career start, and who was the biggest influence on you? And maybe that did you have any mentors through that period as well? Would be really cool.
Yeah, sure. My career officially started when I was doing a paper route in fifth grade, but my actual professional career, I started right out of college as an event planner for a financial firm. And that gave me champagne tastes on a beer budget of how to travel and what life looked like. But the thing that was really interesting about that, I made amazing connections, got to see the world, and I realized like those are two things I love about the job, making connections and seeing the world, but didn't quite love the job. And ended up switching into recruitment, which is one of my like closest passions. I absolutely love finding the right role for the right person, and it's so rewarding. And my mom, she's recently retired, but she was a realtor, and we used to call her dreams broker. And she would say, like, everybody's got a place that they've got to find, and like that was her mission, was to find it, and it gave her so much satisfaction. And that's what I felt like when I was getting people the right opportunities and opening doors that they wouldn't have known existed. I mean, as you know from being in that recruitment world, so many roles never get posted or nobody knows about them. And it does often come down to who you know. And so you don't know people just for that purpose, but isn't it great when you do know great people and
Mm,
you get to say, wow, I could really help you. And I never think I got that person that job. It's more like I helped that person get the job.
yeah. No, it's really interesting. I think part on like at the moment, network helping and community helping people get jobs. Most people are really struggling when they're looking for a new role because they're one of 250 people applying, and most people are finding themselves back in great roles through their network, through their community,
Mhm.
through referrals. So I definitely think that that will resonate for sure. Um, and what about mentors? Did you have anyone that really looked out for you growing up, or moving up and through? Like, was there anyone that sent the elevator back down for you?
Oh yeah, there's so many. Like oh my gosh, I'm afraid to even list them because then I'm going to forget them, like an Oscar speech or something. Um, but one of them I will say is also on the House of Visionaries board is Katie Kulikowski. And what's really interesting about her is I worked for her, and I was a head of TA, and I loved it. I absolutely loved the role, loved the company, loved everything. But working with her is what made me think, oh, I think maybe I actually want to switch. I think I want to move on to the people operations and strategic people leadership side. And I'd never seen anyone do the role the way she had done the role. So not only was she an incredible leader, she was an incredible mentor, and she really did send the elevator back down. She gave me so many opportunities to do all kinds of things that were outside the scope of my role. And, it was always a safety net for me should I need it. But it allowed me to just like think outside the box and really get rid of any limiting beliefs and think I could do that.
Mm,
And it was after that role that I did do that. But I consider myself so lucky too, because not only did she show that like it was super fun and I could do that role, and not everyone thinks of fun in HR in the same like sentence, but she just inspired me to just go do it and to like
mm,
bet on myself and just figure it out. And she's consistently remained one of my go-to people that I call. I mean, I've literally called her and said, I've got 4 minutes before this meeting starts. I really, really need to know about XYZ. And she's delivered. And then she'll text me following up like, hey girlfriend, how'd that
how'd it
go?
go? Yeah.
Yeah. So I consider myself to be incredibly lucky. She's one of many people who have helped me out along the way. And that's part of why I created my organization, Bar Raisers. It's all about raising the bar for other women around us. And and I'd certainly include men in the equation, but I happen to like lean pretty heavily into that area of it. But I'm incredibly grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got like a really interesting like background and journey. I think you've completed what most people would consider to be the impossible journey, which is starting as a recruitment consultant in an agency and ending up as a CPO in a relatively short space of time.
Hmm.
Um, could you maybe bring that to life? Because I know there are lots of people that are in talent and love it and want to stay in talent. I know there's a lot of people that get to the top of the talent ladder and would love and aspire to become a CPO. They kind of make it right to the top of talent. There's nowhere else to go. The next seat is CPO, but they think it's impossible for them because they've come from more of a talent arm. Um, could you bring that journey to life and maybe also give a little bit of advice to people that maybe to look and take that step from talent into CPO?
Yeah, sure. And I love that you call it an impossible journey. It never actually felt impossible, but I understand that because people do say to me, "How did you make that transition?"
Mm,
And a lot of it, I think, is, well, first you got to believe in yourself. You got to know what you're looking to do, or be open to what you might want to do. But in that TA role that I had, and it was a pretty robust role, I was leading a global TA team for a public company that was in the technology space, that was an innovator in the space. So it gave me so much exposure to so many different things around the globe. How do we do things differently in different places? And so, in order to be really good at that job, I had to understand all the roles around me. And so, just being naturally curious is is a part of who I am, and a part of, I think most people who want to switch a career because they're curious about making a switch. So you start to figure out, how can I add a little bit on, a little bit on, a little bit on, put a couple more tools in your toolbox while you're doing your main job. But you also have to ask for it. You have to, not only ask the universe, but you've got to tell people, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm interested in. And then people are aware and they think, oh yeah, like you could do that job. And if you know other people, or even if you don't know them, but if you know of other people who have done it, then you can reference that and you can ask them, how did you do it? And you can even just say, I know this person did it at that company and this person did it at that company. And I was really lucky where when I made the leap from being a TA leader to a VP of people, there were people who knew me and they knew my work, and they said, if anyone can do it, it'll be her. And she's got a great network. She'll know when to ask. When it's like she's not waving, she's drowning, she will let us know. And that's the truth. I mean, I hired really great people around me that knew way more than I knew about the things that I now owned, and was super vulnerable with them and said, I know how to lead. My goal is to not manage. If I find myself managing, we're both in trouble. But let me lead, and you show me what we need to be doing, and I'll work with you on all the other pieces that I see for my role and why that might work. And I think it's trusting yourself, it's understanding the business. So that's also a key thing. I guess maybe that might be one of the more important things, is realizing when you're in TA, or the other side of the people strategy team, understanding the business is the first thing to actually leading a great team, because otherwise you're in a silo and it doesn't necessarily connect. Just like the tech team can't make and build products that don't map to your business goals. If your salespeople were selling something that didn't map to your business goals, that wouldn't make sense. So why would your people strategy be doing things that don't map to the business goals? So if
mm,
you always start with, where are we going? And then you back in, how do we make this work? And you think about all your stakeholders, and that's your employees, that's your candidates, that's your leaders, that's your um, investors, that's your prospects. And you make your decisions based on those things. It's not that hard to lead. And it's often like the Wizard of Oz, like behind the curtain, it's not nearly as scary as you thought it was. But somebody has to take a chance on you. So they have to
yeah.
know you want it. You've got to put yourself in a position for those opportunities to come, and you've really got to go for it. I think
Mm.
that's really what it is.
Yeah, I love that. And is there a thing in your opinion that is the hardest leap to make? So what is the big difference between the role leading talent at the very highest level and then the role leading as a CPO at the very highest level? Where's the biggest delta or the biggest change that people need to bridge that gap, do you think? Is it in the strategy piece that you just spoke about? Is it understanding, okay, how do I really align to a company strategy? Is that is that the difference, or would you say there's some other things in there?
I think it's similar because in order to be a really strong talent acquisition person, you really have to understand the business and you have to sort of play a business partner to whoever you're hiring with. You have to be able to say, like, what are the goals that you're trying to achieve with the role? What does it look like in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? How does it fit into the broader scope? So if you become that TA person, you're already halfway there. You've like bridged your way to the other side.
Mm.
And so, I think the difference is, or at least for me, like when you're TA, you're one track, or when you're people ops, you're often one track. And when you're CPO, it's like you're the organ master and you got all these different pipes and you got to figure out how they all work within your function and externally. And so for me, it's just kind of like getting in a bigger pond.
Yeah.
And also, again, surrounding yourself and knowing I no longer am like the smartest person if I ever was, but I'm no longer the smartest person here because I just took on a bigger job where there's so many parts I've never seen before and or never led before or never had to make the decisions for. So you've got to figure out again, how do you have that network? And I have amazing networks both in real life and in Slack and just like thank you internet and ChatGPT. But I definitely throw a rock in the pond more than I ever did as a TA person and look at what the ripple effects are before I make decisions now. And I've got to build that muscle memory on a lot of things, but now I'm here, right? And I would definitely not say I've arrived, but I think the biggest difference is just you got to think about so many more things in order to make your decisions, and you've got to index faster and everything's on the line kind of all the time.
Mm. Love it. You mentioned some of this earlier about having fun, but on my journey of speaking to so many people around Boston, there are a few people that have worked with you and for you before, and they said, I learned when working with Carrie, I learned that this could be fun. And I think you said something similar about working with Katie, your boss, as well, way back when.
Yeah.
Um, I can't remember the last time I spoke to someone uh, in HR, talent, or people that sounded and looked like they were having lots of fun. It's been a tough ride for a few years for most people. So very rarely am I speaking to people and they're like, "God, it's so much fun. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm having the time of my life. I'm doing the work I've always dreamt of, and everything's rosy." Like it's been challenging, right? So how how do you stay so positive and have so much fun doing your job when lots of other people I don't think have the same, maybe they have the same mindset but they're just not in the right environment, or maybe their mindset maybe isn't similar to yours, but how do you have so much fun doing this role?
That's a great question. How do I have so much fun doing this role? I would say, so I'll tell you also, well, so I'll start with the moment that I realized you could. And I think like just like never, it was never a conscious thought. It was just like I go to work, I do what I do, and I enjoy it. I always have liked what I've done. And that certainly helps you get better at it when you like it. But I worked with this woman named Allie. And I worked with her for years. And at some points I worked for her. Sometimes we worked as peers. And she's someone who's still very, very much in my life. But she coined the phrase for me of like, let's have fun while we get it done. And she would say it all the time. And I'm like, it's not fun. Like I'm 100% commission recruiter. And I don't know if this deal is going to go through. Like it's so stressful. Like, why won't this company hire this person? They're so good. But it made me realize like it's a choice, right? And I've had so many moments in my life where I'm just so like grateful to like be on this ride. And every day you wake up and it's up to you whether you're going to have a bad day or a good day and how you frame it. And at that company, we also had a coach for all of us. And her name was Francesca, and she was amazing. And she just taught us how to reframe things. And if you're not having fun, like it's really about you. It's not the work. It's about how you're approaching it, right? So,
Mm.
um, so yeah, I just think about like how could this be more fun? And if it's not fun, like how can we change it? Because the work is always going to be there. But yes, like COVID and being in HR, really hard, right? COVID in general, like really hard. But how do we like take care of people while they're at work when everyone's lives just went nuclear? And then now we're stuck in that weird, like post-COVID hybrid, not hybrid, how are we doing it phase? And it's challenging. It's hard, but hard can be fun. And if you
Mm,
keep that in mind that you want to have fun while you get it done, it does change it. And I don't know. I also surround myself with really fantastic people. And both on my teams and when I'm interviewing for roles for myself, that's part of what I'm thinking about. I ask the people I'm working with and for, like, who's on your board of advisors? Do you have one? And then what do you call them for? What's like the craziest thing you call them for? Try to understand who they are. And like my boss right now he's hilarious. We have so much fun together, but we're also getting a ton of stuff done because it's also important and meaningful.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think you find your people.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just such like, isn't life just so much better when you've got that mindset right? And when you don't have that mindset, and you're not having fun. Very quickly, things can become quite dark, and people end up in a really negative space very quickly. I think it's an absolute blessing to have a mindset where um, it keeps the energy high and positive, and allow. I think it allows you to then do the best work. It allows you to do work that becomes visionary and really excels and allows you to create new things and think differently. You've got to be in the right headspace to do those things. It's very difficult to be visionary with a
Yeah.
mindset that isn't full of energy, fun, positivity. It's almost impossible. So I love it, and it's definitely something that like I hear a lot about the way that you and some of your peers work. You've gone off to different companies, but you all bring that energy that and that fun and that positivity, and you like really really care and really like love what you do. I think that's infectious.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think like there's enough room in the sky for like all of the stars, right? So there's like, so why not? But I also do genuinely think that like the universe is rooting for me, and so like, it's all gonna work
What a
out. We're
great,
all gonna have a good time.
what a great attitude. Yeah, I spoke to someone recently, a CPO who's having like a terrible week, round of redundancies number 4 or something, and she
Hmm.
was not in a good place. So don't worry about it. Like the sun's shining. You've got amazing kids, amazing family. You're doing a job that you've always dreamed of. You probably thought you'd never be sitting in that seat anyway. Like life's good. Like take a step back. Life is actually like overall, life is a good place to be, and this will play through. Like it'll all be all right. And sometimes you need a bit of perspective.
Right, but it also helps if you like your job, right? And if you
Yeah,
like the work that you do. And so I think a lot of people just haven't also, maybe they don't have the luxury to do this either, but haven't taken a step back and thought like, what is it about what I do that I like? And where else could that exist? Right? Similar to event planning for a financial services firm wouldn't have lit me up for my entire life, but is great for somebody else. But my thoughts were, I love to travel. I love all the connections. And I like getting people like what they need from information or development, because what we were doing was creating all these development programs for brokers. And now it's like I'm traveling because I usually have global teams. In the current role, I don't, but allows me to travel. But I'm also developing people and helping them with their careers, which is super similar, and just building connections for people. And if it's a candidate and we don't have the right role today, you never know about tomorrow or who else I might know or whatever that may look like. But I'm also in a new industry now. I'm in AI and health tech, and that's like been so fun to open all kinds of new doors and meet new people. And that invigorates me. So you've got to figure out like what are the things that you like, and all of that exists in the job I have. So that makes it a lot more easy to have a good time.
100%. Okay, we're gonna do some community questions. So you'll
Okay.
you'll be relatively familiar with some community questions because you are part of the community and might have played a role in pulling some of these together. But uh, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a couple. So,
Okay.
question number one: what career would you have done if it wasn't HR and you could do anything you wanted? Like, what would that career have been?
Um, hmm. What career would I have done? I have so many. I'm thinking like, which one do I choose? If I if I could do any kind of career, I would be a traveling food critic. Like I would just that's what I would do. And I would ensure though that this would have to have a +1. I don't need any fish. I don't need anything from the sea. So that would be really challenging in certain
That
locations.
would be the worst. You'd be the worst food critic ever with no seafood.
I have to have a +1, so there's like a real requirement to that job. But yes, that would be the job. I would like love, 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 love. I'm talking about food, eating food, traveling, talking about traveling, giving people tips and recommendations is my favorite thing. So if someone's going to pay me to do that, it'd be amazing.
That would be the thing. So
Yeah.
far we've had a race car driver, someone want to be a professional racing car driver, and we've had a traveling food critic that doesn't eat seafood.
Yeah, with a +1.
With a +1, yeah, love it. What's the one HR trend you think is totally overhyped?
Oh, there's so many. So what's the one HR trend that's totally overhyped? I think there's really genuinely so many. I think one of them is so much of the focus on HR tech, and that might sound crazy because I love AI and I'm so into it and everything like that. And I love systems, like I love Lattice, I love Greenhouse, I love all the things. But I also think that there at some point, like it's just like the whole like HR is human, and sometimes there's such a reliance on HR technology right now that and it's messy because there's so many and it's so hard to figure out which ones are good, which ones are going to work for my business. How is that going to actually make an impact? I just joined a group of People Tech Partners, and part of another person from our community actually introduced me to this group. And the point of this group is to vet HR technology for our peers and for our own organizations, and to help those companies figure out, like, are they doing the right thing or not? And I'm super excited about it because on the one hand, that sounds crazy that I just said HR tech is like too hyped, but it's just because it's noisy and
Yeah.
everyone thinks that we should be automating every single thing, and and making everything reportable, and I believe in all of that, but it's so noisy because then at the end of the day, you can have all the data in the world, you could have a fancy system, but you got to make sure people have a motivation to use it, that they're getting something out of it, and that if it's us on this end and we're getting the data, what are we doing with the data? What does the
Mm.
data mean? And an example recently, I believe I saw it also on your LinkedIn, was about you post a role and you get so many applications and you have to turn it off. And it's because of like bots applying and all this other stuff. And that's also really challenging because we've got to figure out how to solve for that and let good candidates get through that might not have every buzzword or all those things. So like, what is the solution there? And the solution is not just throw more tech at it.
I
It's throw the
completely
right
agree.
tech at it. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know. I
think
think I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth there, but that's my answer.
No, I love it. And I think like for me, I would agree with that. But for me, like HR tech plays like 0% of the role in building a good culture and high performing teams, like 0%. But what
Yeah.
it does do is it allows you to scale something that's great. So once
Yes.
you've built an amazing culture and it is human to human, and everybody is happy and performing, that AI plays no role in that. But what AI and technology does is allow you to take that and scale it from 50 to 100 to 200 to 500 to
Mhm.
1,000 to 5,000. So it is so important, but it's not where you start. It's almost where you end. You've got to start by making sure all the other fundamentals are perfect. Then let's layer in some automation. Then let's layer in
Yes.
some AI and some tech. And I do think people sometimes are seeing it the other way around. Let's buy some AI and it will sort everything out. And actually, there's
Yes.
just no foundation to layer it on top of. In my
Right.
experience, I can't remember. I could probably count on one hand the amount of TA functions we've embedded into, and they've got their ATS, their data sets, and their HRIS working well. Not even like exceptional, just working well, where they've got the right data pulling from it and they can see everything they need to see.
Mhm.
Let alone layering AI on top of that, and layering all this other tech on top of it. Like I would say the fundamental foundations for lots of HR and TA functions are still not quite there. And that's a worry because I think just layering more tech on top of foundations that aren't perfect is going to just make the problem even worse, not better. Um,
Correct.
so
Correct.
yeah, I
Although I
would.
never want to go back to a paper calendar. So like I've got to admit, like I like it. It's I don't know, maybe I like hate love HR tech. Maybe. I don't know.
I think it is a hate love. I think no, I think it's a love as long as it's done properly, right? If it's done
Right.
properly and using the right way, it's just amazing. That's the differentiator, is how you can take something amazing and scale it and just literally multiply the multiplier effect on top of something brilliant
Right.
is, you've got to love that. But I think some people haven't quite got to the basics yet, and they've forgotten about what makes a truly great culture and truly high performing teams. It probably isn't AI. Let's get that bit right first. Let's dive in there, then let's lay the tech on top.
Yeah.
Last question, a little bit of a funky one. What's your go-to coffee?
Oh gosh. Well, and I think it could be because I'm one of those crazy New Englanders, but I love iced coffee all year long with caramel. We've got this fun little like chain around where I live called Mary Lou's, and all the shops are pink. And I also just happen to like pink, but flavored coffee only. I don't actually drink coffee because I enjoy it. I just like what it does for me.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I love when I come to Boston. Like, so when I'm in the UK, everyone will get like a flat white. So it's like almost like half a coffee, like a
Yeah.
smaller coffee. When I go to Boston, everyone gets an iced coffee in like a jug. It's like they've
Yes.
got the biggest cup of iced coffee. I'm like, that's going to last you all day.
I have one right here.
In the UK, everyone has like the smallest coffee, might just have an espresso or something like that. And in America, everything's always just bigger and better. I love it.
I know. Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been so fun.
So, final question before we bring the pod to a close. So, if you could redesign the people function from scratch, what's the first thing you'd throw out, and what's the thing you'd protect at all costs?
The thing I would protect at all costs is the like the sacredness of what it is. I often say to people when they come join my team, and this is something I learned from somebody else that I worked for, but it's like a one strike rule. Like we are the keepers of so many things here. We are the keepers of so many amazing moments for people's careers, challenging moments for people's careers, confidential things, like so many things. And so what I say to people when they're onboarding with me is like, it's a one strike rule, because if there's no integrity in this function, then we're in big trouble. Right. And so like, that's the thing I think that is so critical in a people function. And so I would keep that sacred at all costs, because if you don't have that, it doesn't really matter what else you got going on. And the thing I would throw out is people saying like the HR lady. I would throw that right out. I hear that like so often. The HR lady. It's like, but what? What's the HR lady? Who's the HR lady? And that just drives me completely bonkers. It's a it's an old fashioned thing, and it's not welcome anymore in my world.
It's not welcome. That word's banned. I absolutely love the sacred piece, by the way, and the morals and the standards that you're going to set. Do you not think that that same thing should be present for the whole leadership group, though? It's not just HR.
Oh,
It's got to
one,
be every
yes.
leader, because if you get one leader that doesn't operate with the right moral compass and is sacred around those things, it just sets a terrible tone for the business overall. I love that philosophy. I think it needs to be adopted by everybody in the leadership function.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I do think like that's what like a good interlocked leadership team has the same set of principles. And in a previous company, we did a lot of work with the Patrick Lencioni books and
Yep.
philosophies and around team, and which team is, this is something I ask people when they're interviewing for leadership roles. Which team is your main team? Is it the executive leadership team, or is it the function in which you lead? And there's not necessarily a right answer, but as the people person, the answer I have always given, and I've been asked that several times, but it's actually the whole company, because my job is to sort of quarterback all of the things, all of the teams, and support everyone equally. I'm like the bias-free ELT member. I work across all functions. Whereas if you're the tech leader, it can be really challenging to decide if the tech team is your team or the leadership is your team. Same with finance, right? But my main role is to make sure that everyone is getting what they need. And that's the business, that's the leaders, that's every single employee, that's every candidate, that's the prospects, that's the board. And so I don't really get to pick a team. But in a way, I kind of like that. I'm a floater,
Yeah, love it. Who's there for you, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're
Somebody was telling me recently, I was
who's there Who's there for you?
Who's there for me?
Yeah, so if you're the person that's got to look after everyone else, who's there
Hmm.
for you? Who's the person giving you the platform and you the support? Is that why you've got such a strong like peer group outside of your companies that you work in? I know community and like your network's huge for you. Is that where you go to? Because everybody needs someone to go to, and if you're the person that gives the
100%.
platform for everyone else, where's your
Yeah.
platform? Where's your support? Where's your person?
Well, I guess that's why I feel so incredibly lucky, right? So I have my immediate team is amazing. My immediate team, my people team is amazing. My leadership team is amazing. I've got a partner right now at work. He's our CFO, COO, and I ask him everything and anything. And there's like no judgment on my questions. There's always a good answer. He's a good thought partner. My CEO, who is my direct boss, is also amazing, but all of our employees are amazing. I'm in all these Greek groups, the AI steering committee, and we've got someone from every department, and everyone's always helping me think about like, how does this land for them or their department? But truly, and it's why I'm so excited about this House of Visionaries, is I'm in all these groups with like really great people that know how to do things and also want to do them differently.
Mhm.
So, you can't do everything differently. Sometimes things are just the way they are because they have to be. And that's like the rule. And that's where I really need people to ground me all the time. But like for sure. But I feel so lucky. I've got it in every area of my life and in my personal life too. So I'm super, super lucky.
Well, that feels like a very positive way to end the pod. Carrie, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and having a chat. And I'm genuinely like excited for the community, for the value that it will add to them. I know how active you are in terms of supporting network and community and how important it is to you. And I'm excited for the community to feel some of that having you on the board of Visionaries.
Thanks. I'm honored and equally excited.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Carrie.
Thank you.
See you soon.